So we've learned a little bit more about hurricanes, and we're starting into our discussion about oceans and oceanography. And the first thing we really have to go into deep is the marine history and start looking at some of the people who explored the oceans. So this begins about a week-long unit. We're going to learn a little bit more about the explorers from ancient time up to more modern, and look into the future at what that exploration looks like, look at some of the goals for future exploration. And then you guys are going to do a project with a couple of other team members. You're going to be assigned one of the explorers through time randomly, and I'll pick your groups that you're going to be working with for your project. And then you're going to have a couple of days to research that explorer, and you're going to do what's called a gallery walk. So you're going to create a poster for us, and then you're going to educate us a little bit more about the explorer and what the time frame was that the explorer was there, and tell us a little bit more about what they were doing and why they were doing, and show us a map and give us an idea of what types of ships and such that they use for their exploration. So that's coming up in the next couple of days. But for today we're going to look at just some of the ancient explorers and start learning a little bit more about them. So the first group of ancient explorers were the Phoenicians, and they were the navigators and merchants who moved things actually all the way up to England. So they were based in the region right around Greece and Turkey, and they sailed most of the Mediterranean Sea, and you can kind of see this is the picture of the boat that they used. So they had slaves, for the most part, that would row when the winds were not supporting to the sailing. And they considered them to be rather brave because they were the first really modern explorers to get out onto the ocean and take a chance and risk the storms, and they made it all the way up to England, and they were transporting materials and goods, and they were the first traders that were using the ocean to move goods back and forth between cultures. The next group, which you probably could expect, were the Greeks, and Aristotle was credited with the first catalog of marine organisms, and after him came Pliny, the two Plinies. There were two, the elder and the younger, and the Plinies looked at currents and moon phases, and they were the first scientific observers. They kept really excellent notes and journals on anything that came in. So anything that came in the ships, because at this point in time Greece was expanding and had contact with multiple cultures from far regions, and so they were basically cataloging everything that they saw. And they were going out with the boats as well and sailing, and a lot of those boats were lost also. And you had Ptolemy also, right around 100 AD, who went on later to be in Egypt, and they created the first world atlas and started mapping out the land masses that they saw based on the information they were gathering from the voyages and the exploration. The next group were the Polynesians, which is kind of surprising, I think, in a way. They were 3000 BC, so they were around, it's been 5,000 years. They also sailed, and they started really off the coast of Southeast Asia in the region that we know now as Indonesia, and they moved east and north, and they pretty much populated all of the islands that are out there, and they went so far as to Hawaii, making it across. And they were the first group to actually do really excellent recordings of stars and using the star charts to plot how they were sailing. And then they also used the position of the sun to help them navigate what they were, and also of the moon, to figure out where they were going, how they were going, and such.